Okay, so no joke, I've tried to record this like in a nice, semi-scripted way at least 4 times, and none of them sound great. None of them feel true. So we're gonna go handheld and just wing it, because that's just how I roll, and it seems to work out all the time. Or at least most of the time. All right, so vlog number 1, what are we doing? I'm gonna just tell you about the project that I'm working on. And then eventually you'll find out about all 3 projects that I'm doing to maybe go into art as like a contractor / semi-business income thing. So let me start with project number 1. We're calling it the Hermit Crab Evolution Post-Human Diorama. Typically I just call it Hermit Crab, but let's get into it. All right, this is my project notebook. So let's go to the Hermit Crab tab. Hermit Crab. So basically the main point of this project is to show a resin pour, and hopefully a good one. This is the main character. We're gonna go real nice and like big evolution hermit crab, okay? This miniature is from Rescale Miniatures, and I highly recommend them. I'm not sponsored. I think I've painted at least 5 or 6 of their pieces so far, and I've loved every single minute of it. Now, I had a couple options for environment. We did some research on where you could find hermit crabs, and the 3 environments that really stood out to me was mango grove, coastal forest, and salt marshes. And the salt marshes absolutely won just by that visual interest that you see with like the large hermit crab amongst the low vegetation, and then just imagine human buildings covered with salt marsh vegetation in and amongst it. Now, the reason why I decided to choose this type of project for one of my 3 projects is for a couple of reasons. One, I wanted this to focus on a large resin pour. I've done a little bit of UV resin in the past, not a lot, and frankly not great. So this would give me a couple of things. It would give me opportunity to practice, because I feel like resin, whether it's a large pour or small pour, is very standard nowadays in dioramas, and it's just a good skill to have. And then on top of showing the technique of resin pour, it would also give me an opportunity to show my ability to tell a story through a single image. You'll look at the diorama, you can gather a story that is compelling. So now that we have the idea and the project set, we have to get supplies. Thankfully, as of this moment, I have all the supplies, but it has been kind of a hurdle to get to this point. Initially, so I got the hermit crab, it was fine, it looked beautiful, and then I went and I got some STL files because I have a couple of friends who do some 3D printing. The first printer I took it to, he couldn't print it. The printer they recommended me to was going to charge me $265 to print 2 buildings. That was definitely not my budget, so I passed. At that point, it was mid-June, and I really wanted to get going on getting these supplies, so I decided to go with just buying an already printed piece. Found something I really liked on Etsy, but when it arrived, it had atrocious layer lines. As you can see, I tried to fix it with primer, that didn't work, and then I tried a shittier primer to have a thicker layering to try and fill in the layers, and that also did not work. I counted that also a loss and decided to just go a different direction. That's when I found these buildings. They are 6mm scale, which I'm kind of excited about. It's definitely a different direction, but I think it'll work out in the end. And I'm very happy with how they turned out and what they're gonna do for the project. But now that that hurdle has been overcome, the next step is painting everything. I've primed everything, now it's just painting and then working on the base and then going on from there. As you can see, we did get the airbrush booth finally, and we got it all set up, but then I made this little ventilation into I think it's a 3-gallon bucket. I'll link below in the description the tutorial that I found that was really helpful, but I basically just whipped this up, and you can see that I've already used it for some priming, and it's worked out really well. I absolutely love it, and would highly recommend this way of airbrushing or priming if you don't have access to good windows. I'm hoping to be at a point where I can pour the resin, or at least a test pour, for this project in a week and a half. So hopefully the next vlog will have all the painting, all the base making, and all the vegetation. And then all I'll have to do is the resin pour. So, fingers crossed. And this is where I am the stereotypical YouTuber and say, go subscribe. or follow, whatever it is on YouTube.